when your van tells you this and this, and you have to do this and this, and then you have to go and check this, this, and this, and all this, and even these, and then your van says this, it means only one thing. You go in here. So welcome to InstallerSHOW 2023. It's another beautiful day. It's not sunny Manchester today, it's sunny Birmingham. So I've just travelled from home to Birmingham to the NEC. It's just taken me just about 2 hours to get here. And the reason why I'm here at the NEC is because of Installer Live exhibition. And the main reason why I'm here is to see the launch of the new Vaillant Ecotech combi boiler. So that's my main reason for being here. Now it's also a bit of an epic journey because I've travelled from home to Birmingham, and then tomorrow, and I'm staying over tonight in Birmingham, just near here, and then I'm travelling up from here to Bristol. The reason why I'm going to Bristol tomorrow is I've got a annual general meeting for Logic, LCL Awards, who are an accreditation body for our ACS and our managed learning program. So I decided, come here, stay overnight, halfway there, and then tomorrow get up leisurely and then just trundle off over to Bristol. Then stay over in Bristol and then do the meeting, and then on Friday I've got to get back straight after the meeting because we're going on holiday the day after. So are you coming with me on the journey? And if you are, let's get on with it. This is the brand new Vaillant Ecotech Plus combination boiler. The combi comes in 26 kilowatts, 32 kilowatts, 36 kilowatts, and there's even a 40 kilowatt one. They are 440 millimeters wide, 720 millimeters high, and 352 millimeters deep, with the 40 kilowatt being 386 millimeters deep. So they are pretty much the same footprint as the old Ecotech Plus boiler. The first thing you notice about the boiler is it's had a complete new facelift and the old flap has gone from the front. Let's start by having a look at the new changes underneath this boiler. Now, to remove this front cover, there are now 2 retaining screws instead of 1, which was in the middle, and the clips now are a lot easier to use and undo, unlike the old ones. Now this is what the old Ecotech Plus looked like underneath, so you can see there has been quite a few changes, but it technically still does look like a Vaillant boiler underneath. Now the pipe layout is pretty much the same, so flow on the left, then the hot water, then the gas, then the cold water, then the return pipe, and then you can see the discharge pipe. Underneath you can see 2 black circles which are securing pegs for the new controls. There is also a plug socket for these controls. So this is the Vaillant Connect Internet Gateway system, which basically just plugs underneath the boiler on these 2 pins. And then there is a fly lead going from the internet gateway to connect into the plug. So it's a plug and play system. And this allows the customer to install these controls because they are not taking off the cover of the boiler to go into the control board. Also underneath the boiler there's a new condense trap which looks pretty much like the one used on the glowworm, and there is a new connection now which is a rubber connection which has an air brake valve in there. Now, something installers have been asking Vaillant for a long time is a test point on the gas isolation valve, because it's always been a pain trying to get the test point on the gas valve. Also, the gas valve itself now is virtually full bore. So something you might recognise from the old Ecotech is the turret. So the turret looks pretty much the same, and also the fixing bracket is pretty much the same as the old boiler. We can also take both sides off the boiler now by just undoing these two securing screws. Now if we take a look inside the boiler, we can still see it does resemble the old Vaillant Ecotech Plus boiler, but there's been some slight changes and a few upgrades. So you can see the expansion vessel pretty much looks like the same as the old boiler, and it's in the same location. The Schreider valve is still in the centre of the expansion vessel and is still easy to access. The expansion vessel is connected to the hydroblock by a copper pipe. This was also the case in the old Ecotech range of boilers, so I don't think we'll have any problems with this blocking up. Now you can see the boiler still comes with the Grundfos ERP pump and it's in exactly the same location. Also, you can see the PRV is still in the same location and is still easy to get at. It's even easier to get at now you can remove the side panels. Now you can see the pipe layout leading to the composite hydroblock is completely different now, and the gas pipe leading to the flexi is now made of copper and is slightly off the bottom of the boiler now, so hopefully if anything happens we don't have any problems with the gas connection rotting. Another quite significant change is the diverter valve. So it looks like the same diverter valve, but they've put it on an angle looking upwards now instead of horizontal. Hopefully we won't have any dirty heating system water coming through the spindle. We can also see the flexible stainless steel gas pipe going from the copper pipe to the gas valve looks slightly bigger than the old boiler. Now if we take a look at the burner, it pretty much looks like the old burner, except we've got the nice bunny logo in the middle. But you can see now there are two electrodes looking probes. Now the one on the left is still the same flame rectification and ignition probe, but the one on the right is an ionization probe. So this probe gives the boiler via the gas valve an intelligent gas combustion monitoring system, which will help this new Ecotech Plus reach a wider modulation range of up to 1 to 11 for even greater system efficiency. This also automatically gives you an LPG conversion on most of the boilers, which can be completed in minutes using the new interactive interface with no additional parts required or even a sticker. You can also see the ionization probe comes with a warning sticker telling engineers to keep their sticky little fingers off the probe. Put down in the comments guys if you think this is going to become a problem when we're servicing these boilers in the future. So because of the new INI detect technology, the boiler requires a completely new gas valve. Also you can see there's a slight subtle change to the silencer tube. It's also easier to remove. No screw to remove now, we've just got this little push clip. So all you do now is push down the clip, then pull forward the tube, and then like the old one, you just waggle it off. As you can see, the flow and return sensors are still in the same place, and they're also still colour coded red for flow, blue for return, and the low pressure sensor is still here at the top. But this time they say they've put a filter in there, so hopefully that doesn't still keep getting blocked up with dirty system water. Gaining access to the PCB now is a lot easier, and there is also this little clip here which will hold it in position for us when we're working on the board so it doesn't keep trapping our hands. The board has also had a bit of an upgrade. We've now not got eBus, we've now got Limbus, which enables more intelligent and accurate reading of the flow rate and pressure differential via the internal pump for improved performance. All the old Vaillant controls will still work on this boiler, and we've still got the 240 volt RT and the 24 volt RT switch connections for third-party controls. But why would you want to install third-party controls on this boiler? I am a big believer of using the manufacturer's controls for the boilers because it makes them far more efficient and you get the most bang for your buck. I think the most striking and the best changes of this boiler is this new interactive semi-touch interface, which allows for effortless first time installation and setup with guided commissioning and setup wizard and easy to follow navigation. So you can see on the display it says limp home mode. Now what this is basically it allows the boiler to still continue to run if there's a fault that isn't dangerous or isn't going to cause any problems to the boiler. So it gives the customer time to ring an engineer when there is a slight fault on the boiler. Now you can see the screen is showing the current flow temperature of 50 degrees. So if we press this menu button here and then press the radiator button, we can now use this slide to change the temperatures. We then press the tick to accept it, and it's now set up for the higher temperature. If we want to do the hot water, we press the hot water button, and then we can do the slide again and press the tick. If we press this arrow, it'll take us back to the main menu. If we want to get into the installer menu, we still use the same number as what all the other Vaillant boilers are. And once we're in installer mode, you can now press the scroll bar up and down to get whichever one you want, and then just press the button to accept it. Now if you install this hardwired Senso Room Pure room stat, it will unlock an internal time clock inside the interface. So once you wire in the stat to the bus connection, it will automatically sense you have the controller and will give you this heating timer. As you can see, it's easy to use and you just follow the information on the screen. And if you have a vulnerable customer, you can go into the time planner and then you can set it up for them, asking what time do they want it coming on and what time do they want it going off. There's loads of great functions on this and it's great to play with it. So that's my quick guided tour on the new Vaillant Ecotech Plus combination boiler. Put down in the comments guys and tell me what you think of it. Now finally arrived at the hotel where I'm staying tonight. I've had a bit of a disaster. I can't believe it. I put the address for the hotel in my sat-nav. It says I'm only literally 5 minutes away from the NEC, and it took me to the hotel. It turns out it was the wrong hotel. The hotel where I'm staying at shares the same postcode as the one where my sat-nav took me. And then when I read the email, I don't read emails, but anyway, when I read the email, it actually says on the email down at the bottom, it might take you, your sat-nav might take you to the wrong hotel. We're the first junction at the roundabout. Anyway, there's a video of me getting lost and I'll explain what happened. Now this is the roundabout where I was so close to the hotel, and this junction here on the left, where I've just gone past, is where I should have actually gone down. So I should have known as soon as I saw the sign, but I just continued to go into the car park. I then went to find a parking spot. And then I was thinking, actually, I'm supposed to be in Premier Inn. So I suddenly realised I was in the wrong hotel car park. So I decided to spin around and go back out. So as I was going out of the car park, I suddenly realised there's another barrier to get out. And I looked at the little control panel, and I couldn't see any way of getting out. So there was a van behind me who'd followed me in and also followed me out because he was going to the wrong hotel as well. So I asked him, any chance you know the code for this? And he went, not a chance. So after waiting for a few moments and chatting to the guy behind me, then these two cars turned up. So I asked the first one, did they know the code? And they said no. And then I asked the second car, which was full of young lads who actually did know the code. So luckily enough for me, they told me the code, and up went the barrier, and away I went. So we're back at the roundabout again, because I went the wrong way again, but this time, because my sat-nav kept telling me they're going the wrong way, but anyway, this time I was on the right road to the right hotel, get up to this next roundabout, and the hotel was there. So what was supposed to be a 5-minute drive from the NEC to the actual hotel took me 40 minutes to get there. Lesson learned, and if you are going to stay at this hotel, follow the signs, not your sat-nav, because hopefully then you'll get to the right hotel. So now we're here, let's get this hotel room checked out and see if it's actually worth the £221 a night I've paid for it. Now here we go, I'm expecting, no I'm not, £221 a night. Anyway, at least we've got a bath and a shower, obviously a WC, we've got a little wardrobe, mirror, reasonable sized TV, quite a big bed. I always like a big bed when we go away. I'm on my own. There's even a little put up bed. Let's have a look at the view. Could be worse, at least there is some green outside the bedroom window. So that's my room for tonight. Do you think it's worth 221 quid? Put it down in the comments guys if you think I've been ripped off. So when I woke up this morning, instead of just lounging around in bed till I was ready to go over to Bristol, I decided to go back to Installer and play in a few games I saw yesterday. So I went to the City Plumbing stand and I played this little grab machine, and in my first attempt I actually won something. I've won £1 million.
No way, I'll go get it in the back cupboard. Chocolate bar.
So while I thought I was on a winning streak, I thought I'd go over to the Vaillant stand and see if I could win myself a rucksack. I had to do this game and get over 100 points, and I don't do video games. But I just decided to wave my arms around a bit and pretend I was cutting fruit up, which was quite good fun. In the end, I only needed to get 100 points for the rucksack, but I got 239. I then went over to the Hotton stand to see if I could play this bashing game. I had to be 120 points to get to the top of the leaderboard. In the end, I managed 96. What a letdown. But just out of the kindness of the heart, they put me on the leaderboard and they gave me a goodie bag. So that's the end of Installer Live. I've actually nipped back and had another wander around and played a few games and things. And I just got my lunch ready before I head on over to Bristol. I've just checked, it's going to take me about an hour and a half to get to Bristol. So I've got my Vaillant coffee. So they also gave me a Pepsi Max as well, so that's good. And I've just got myself a pasty. Oh, and a sausage roll. So I got myself a big fat pasty. And my sausage rolls just fell out the bag. So I'm going to froth these in my nice air conditioned van. And then I'm going to head off over to see if the hotel in Bristol is a lot better than the hotel I just stayed in, because £221 a night for that one. Oh my god. Anyway, cheers. Now I've arrived at the Village Hotel in Bristol, bang on time for checking in, so let's check out the room. Now this room has cost me £126 for the night, including £5 for parking. Ooh, well, it's a lot smaller and a bit not my taste in decorating, put it that way. And you can see through to the shower, so it's a good job Charlotte's not here, because she wouldn't have put up with that. But it's a very modern room. It's a very modern hotel. View, is it better than the one from the other hotel, seen out on the motorway in the car park? But anyway, this is my room for tonight. £126. What do you think, guys? Do you think this one's worth it and the other one's not? Both of them have got air conditioning though, so that's a good start. So let's get this aircon on and let's get this room cold. While I was staying in the room, I also found a couple of snazzy things. First one is, we've got electric blinds to keep out that light early in the morning. Hopefully that's going to work. And I found this switch just to the right hand side of the toilet door, and if you press it, it makes the glass go opaque. So Charlotte would be okay with that, I think. But Houston, we still have a problem. The door stays clear so they can see you on the loo. So this is Bristol Aerospace Museum, where LCL Awards are having their AGM and our training. And they say they have a little surprise for us. This is Concorde 216, registration number G-BOAF, which had a maiden flight on the 20th of April 1979 and was retired on the 26th of November 2003. That date is also the last day a Concorde ever flew anywhere in the world. After Concorde Alpha Foxtrot flew into Filton in November, she remained out in the open for 14 years until the construction of this dedicated exhibition building was completed. Alpha Foxtrot has 4 Rolls-Royce Olympus 593/610 turbojet engines, which guzzled 25,629 litres of fuel per hour. A transatlantic flight on Concorde would take around 3 hours and cost around $12,000 for a return trip. You can find 3 Concordes preserved like this in museums around the UK, one in Edinburgh, one in Manchester and this one in Bristol. Now let's go for a tour inside the plane. First of all, we'll go through this incredibly small door where I had to duck under, and there are only 2 doors on the plane for passengers. So we're walking down here now to the cockpit. Now Concorde operated with 3 flight deck or cockpit crew members, and they were the pilot, the first officer and the flight engineer. The captain would sit on the left hand side of the plane and the first officer on the right hand side. On Concorde, the flight engineer was responsible for many operations that are now automated on flights. The flight engineer adjusted the centre of gravity of the aircraft, maintained the cooling systems, manually transferred fuel, and executed other tasks integral for the flight. So now we're just passing the storage cupboard and the 2 forward toilets, and we're going to have a look in the main passenger cabin. Concorde would carry 100 passengers and 9 crew, and around 2.5 million passengers flew on British Airways Concordes alone. Passenger Fred Finn flew the most in Concorde. He flew 718 times between 1976 and 2003. He was on the very first flight and the very last flight in Concorde. He sat in the same seat 9A and covered around 15 million miles. From 76 to 2003, it was the world's most expensive high-tech form of air travel, costing $1,500 for a round trip on its first year, up to $12,000 for its last one. We've now reached one of the 4 toilets that are on the plane, 2 right at the very front which we've seen, and these 2 in the middle. They look just like the standard toilets we use on planes today. So just past the two toilets there is another cupboard for hanging your coats up. I wonder how many famous people have actually hung their coats up there. And we can look back at the rest of the cabin. They've blocked it off and stopping us going any further than this because they want to preserve the plane. So before we go out the door, let's take one last glance down the cabin just to show you actually how small this plane is. Remember, it only holds 100 passengers. So let's go through the other very small door, and that concludes our tour. On the day we were having our meeting under Concorde was also a very special day for the plane. It was actually the 50th anniversary to the minute of when they used Concorde to chase a solar eclipse. On June the 30th, 1973, at 12:10 p.m. UK time, Concorde 001 took off in North Africa in pursuit of a solar eclipse. Flying at Mach 2.05 gave scientists 74 minutes to study the eclipse. F-WTSS, or Concorde 001, was modified to be able to allow the scientists to see the eclipse. What they did was they cut holes in the roof of Concorde and put viewing ports so the cameras could get a better view looking up rather than from the sides through the normal windows. 001 was the first Concorde to fly on the 2nd of March 1969 to the 19th of October 1973, when it was then retired to the Air and Space Museum in France. In its years of service, Concorde only had one fatal crash. The Air France flight 4590 crashed on July the 25th, 2000 in Paris, killing all 109 people on board and 4 on the ground. Flight 4590 was registration number F-BTSC, serial number 203. It had its maiden flight on the 31st of January 1975. The investigation into the crash found that a stray piece of metal on the runway jumped up when the tyre ran over it, punctured the tyre, which then punctured the fuel tank. 3 years later, Concorde's retirement was said to be because of noise and pollution and the operating cost, not the crash. So, I've sneaked out of the meeting early because I've just had a look at my sat-nav and it's saying I've got a just over 4.5 hour drive now back home. Wow, great. So I've decided to sneak off a little bit. I missed the last class, so don't tell him. Shh, don't tell him. But how amazing was that? Actually having a meeting under the wings of Concorde. I had my lunch under the wings of Concorde. Now, I have seen the Concorde at Manchester and I've done the gin nights and stuff like that with my wife and my mother-in-law and nieces and stuff. So I've seen the Concorde in Manchester. But to see the last Concorde to be made and the last Concorde to fly was just amazing. Love things like that. Love history and aeroplanes and cars and any motor vehicle. Anyway, let's get this journey over and done with because I've got an even bigger journey tomorrow when we're going on holiday to Croatia. So let's get on with it. So now we've finally reached Cavtat in Dubrovnik in Croatia for our holiday. It's the end of my travelling for a while. I'd like to know exactly how many miles I've covered over the last few days. I'm sure I could work it out, but I haven't done yet. So that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to find out what happens on this Croatia holiday, then you'll have to look out for that video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.